Hey, you guys. I was kind of listening to some of these, like this lady here. I'm going to play some of it for you. Oh, it's Sky News Australia. And, okay, so as I'm listening to these things, and I hadn't really started taking notes, but on this one, I did, and another one, it was Allie, and I hadn't taken notes on her, but anyway, I'm going to show you, as I was listening to this Sky News, it's really, I want to listen to Ruben, the Ruben Show, and I haven't seen that yet, and I know he has one out, and maybe one or two others that I watch their channels, but I was listening to this stuff, you guys, and it's been sounding so familiar all along, but I just can't put my finger on it because I haven't been around a narcissistic, manipulative control freak on a 24/7 basis in a long time, and I forgot. I mean, even when I was, it took me years till I was like in my 40s to figure out what it was. And then once you learn the terms, you still have to learn how to function around them without them manipulating you, right? So it's so horrible, you guys. It's like, it truly is, like I've said before, mentioned before, this lady named June Hunt. She is a Christian, and she isn't like a psychiatrist or psychologist or anything, but she has Bible verses for every one of these mental illnesses, and that's what they are. So when I'm listening to these people, the clips they're showing, all I did was press Google, and I started trying to describe, and I would say, what is the psychological term for somebody who blames you for something you didn't do when they're the ones that didn't do it, and they're okay, and I'm getting all these terms. It's like, and I'm going to read them to you. It's just your regular terms like projecting, but I should literally play you an example before I read these, and they might be out of order anyway. The term for this behavior is projection. It is a psychological defense mechanism where a person denies their own undesirable traits or actions by attributing them onto someone else. It is frequently used by manipulative or toxic individuals to deflect accountability, control, or avoid facing their own faults. Now, see, when you see these clips, which you guys may have seen them all day long, but they kind of, dissipate. You may forget, but as you're watching them, and if you knew these terms, it is so glaringly obvious. These people are effing psycho, mentally ill, deranged lunatics. No lie. Even like the calm ones, like I'm going to play you some clips. I should just play you the clips first, and I mean, not clips, but okay, listen to this.
For public officials who block the removal of criminal aliens, in many cases,
okay, this isn't the part, but see how okay, before I started, I didn't even know what she was saying until this clip, because I couldn't hear, anyway, and they weren't even showing a close-up of her, but when I see this type of behavior, and I don't know the name for it, but she's so entitled, she's so, how dare you uncover my fraud and my criminal activity. That is so manipulative. It's like you're the victim of their fraud, and they make themselves the victim, and you're the perpetrator, when it's the other way around. And there's a medical term for that. I'll find it, but this isn't the one. It's the one after this.
These people out of our country, and you should be ashamed of
And
yourself.
see, Trump, that's good. He yelled over her. He just kept talking over her because these people do not have, see, I don't know the word. They don't have a good reputation of telling the truth, whatever that term is. Okay, it's in the Bible. So if you give them an opportunity to speak, they're just going to spin a bunch of garbage. And then other people can hear that garbage and be possibly manipulated. That's why you cannot allow them to, they're constantly wanting the spotlight and a foothold. And they're screaming it at the rooftops to whoever will listen. And that's how they've been doing it. And that has to stop. So he was doing that. Okay, let me fast forward.
I am a physician, and I have a flag.
This is scary.
And I am the proud representative for Oregon's 3rd Congressional District. Yes.
You know, I'm afraid to go to a doctor because I don't know. What if they are a Trump? Not that I could walk around talking about Trump, but what if some of these doctors start checking your file to see who you're registered Republican or Democrat? Can they get to that information? You know? And then, oh, here, I'm going to give you a shot of la. And you're like, no, you're not. Okay. Anyway, let me listen.
Thank you. And tonight, I defy Trump
Oh,
and
you're
his
so mature.
authoritarian project by standing in joyful, radical, peaceful resistance with the Portland Frog Brigade.
Okay, see, this is so total manipulation because they are acting like they are the victims of common sense being forced upon them and the law being forced upon them. They are victims of that. That's and they're fighting back valiantly. They're so honorable to fight against the law. You guys, this is mental illness. I am not lying. You know, the Bible verse, he who sits in the heavens shall laugh. He will have the nations in derision. These people are major, okay? And they're grasping at straws and they're manipulating. That's all this is. This is all it is. And there's, let me see.
The union address from the Capitol. He, of course, entered the House of Chamber to chants of USA before touting his achievements. Let's just look at part of his speech.
When I last spoke in this chamber 12 months ago, I had just inherited a nation in crisis with a stagnant economy, inflation at record levels, a wide open border, horrendous recruitment for military and police, rampant crime at home, and wars and chaos all over the world. But tonight, after just 1 year, I can say with dignity and pride that we have achieved a transformation like no one has ever seen before.
Okay, hold on. I'm sure you guys have heard all that, but let me see.
A wide open border,
I just thought of something.
horrendous recruitment for military and police.
I was going to
rampant
look
crime
up
at
another.
home, and wars and chaos all over the world. But tonight, after just 1 year, I can say with dignity and pride.
Okay, I don't know. I lost my thought, but he said something that struck me. I'm like thinking, oh, I could Google that and see if there's a medical term for that. What he's describing right here, where they on purpose ran the country like a bunch of effing kindergartners without with a teacher gone on break, and they all just went ballistic and tore the place up. I mean, seriously, they are so psychotic. It's strange. And then the mainstream media just is so kind to them. They're so, and I looked up a term for them too. So
I think it was his best. I mean, I think it
is his best.
The best one I've seen.
Yeah.
And I've been watching.
yeah, because the other night when he was talking about the tariffs, I had never seen him so solemn. And I started praying for him. I'm like, not immediately, but I'm like listening and listening and listening. And I'm like, until they started cutting him off. And I'm like, I've never seen him this solemn and not really depressed, but kind of. And just down, like the wind out of his sails. And out of all the mess he's faced and all the attacks, he always has stayed strong, okay? Like not overbearing strong, not defiant, not that what I mean. I just mean he stays resolute and even keel, strong, and like it doesn't bother him. And then when I saw him when he first came out this time, he was so pepped up, charismatic, energetic, like he was not quite giddy, but maybe the stage below that, just very elated. Like a weight had been lifted off his shoulders. And so, and then he started saying stuff about, oh, stop, it's too much, something about the money and the, the outpouring of getting our money back kind of thing. And I was like, I know exactly what he's talking about. It's like, I hope America starts getting loud, the real Americans, and start getting loud about how I think they're going to feel it anyway. They're going to feel like they literally have won the lottery. And it's like, have you ever felt like, where you were going to pay for something, you were going to pay full price, you didn't think it was that expensive, but yet they come at you and say, oh, that's only a dime instead of whatever. And you're like, oh, wow, really? That is great. That is amazing. Because it might have been something you really, really, really wanted. Oh, that's my other door. I'm like, how did I leave my closet door open? Yeah, like when you get some unexpected amount of money on your paycheck, it's overtime, and you're like, wow, I didn't know it was that much. That's kind of, yeah, when he was explaining that and describing that, that's how I'm like, I know that feeling. And I believe that that's going to happen, before we get out of here. And let me just see.
Since they came down the escalator. And it's been, a lot of great speeches. But this one I really thought was excellent. He hit all the high points. He trapped the Democrats time and time again.
Good word.
He mentioned heroes. I mean, there were so many wonderful.
Yes, he did. We are finally getting the hang of it at trapping them. And we need to trap them into being afraid. Because I'll explain something in a minute.
Those World War II veterans, heroes who had saved lives, USA hockey team. I mean, it was just masterful. And
okay, you probably heard this. Hold on, let me, so I don't get the video too long.
Standing and joyful.
Am I rewinding? Oh darn! Hold on, because there is.
It was just. The president belong in the Republican Party. Maybe one day.
Branding issue and himself.
Okay, this lady.
His family, his friends, the scale of the corruption
just listen
is
to her for a minute.
unprecedented. There's the cover-up of the Epstein files, the crypto scams, cozying up to foreign princes for airplanes and billionaires for ballrooms, putting his name and face on buildings all over our nation's capital.
Now, see, when I hear stuff like this, I Googled it, and I don't know how I worded it exactly, but I was describing what she's doing. She is basically nitpicking about irrational, irrelevant things. And I can come back to her and we'll just say projection, because that's the first term I looked up, and I might have been listening to her. It is I read you that. It's a psychological defense mechanism where a person, that's what these people are doing. these Democrats. They're manipulating. But this is talking about, like, say, an individual person that might be in a medical condition. So, but when I read this, you have to picture that group. Don't picture like, oh, it's a diagnosis for a patient. So, defense mechanism where a person denies their own undesirable traits or actions by attributing them unto someone else. It is frequently used by manipulative or toxic individuals to deflect accountability. That's that Ihab Lomar, what's her name? Somalian piece of garbage. Yeah, God can make garbage too. Actually, God doesn't make garbage, but you make yourself garbage when you ally yourself with Satan. And don't tell me they haven't, because I know my Bible, and they have. And that's what happens when you do. You act just like him. So, attributing them unto someone else, it is frequently used by toxic individuals to deflect accountability for their dumb, kindergarten, asinine, reckless, immature, and all those other words, reckless, with our country. Deflect accountability, responsibility, control, or avoid facing their own faults. This is always what they're doing. They never talk about their faults. And this accountability, I made a post, oh, we're going to hold you accountable. And Trump needs to be careful because they always are trying to sue him and impeach him and then take him to court and everything. They're the criminals. Why doesn't Trump attack them legally? They're the ones you can get all kinds of jail sentences on them. They were always trying to make shit up on Trump. I mean, maybe they were right, but it was some law obscure that they pulled out of their ass or wrote into law real quick. I don't know, but okay, so the accuser shifts focus away from their own behavior. The Epstein files. They know damn well that they could have brought those out. And they didn't. And so they keep hounding. See, it's deflecting. So they're going to harp on the minor things to avoid, to confuse your mind so that you're too busy arguing with them. That's why you can't let them talk. You're too busy arguing and denying that that's the truth. Meanwhile, you're now distracted from paying attention to all their criminal activity. The accuser shifts focus away from their own behavior. They make you feel guilty for things they are actually doing. Accusations are confessions. Remember that. Every accusation on us is actually a confession. That's what this says. Projecting. I'm still on that term, projecting. Often the trait and sometimes we can throw out projecting and people may not know what that means, but when you look up a definition of a word, they give you all kinds of descriptions and synonyms that you can put into your own words and use those words to where you're not just spitting out a vocabulary word. You're giving a description. And often the trait they accuse you of is something they are in fact doing themselves. And then related concepts, often used alongside gaslighting, making you doubt your reality, which is what they try to do, distract us, screaming so loudly the irrelevant lies. And we're not doubting our reality, but the other people are, because you keep telling a lie over and over, and they are saying it so violently, aggressively, angrily, they're starting to calm down because I think they're getting a complex, as very well they should, because they have no shame. They only have pride, and they don't want to, you know, like when you give somebody a proper name, meaning you name call, but the shoe fits. And it was unbeknownst to them because they're so deluded in themselves. They're so delusional. So when you name what they are, they're like so shocked because they know it's true. And it's so freaking humiliating and embarrassing because they know it's true, but they never saw it for the log in their eye. And now they have a complex, so they don't talk like that anymore. They don't act like that anymore. You know what I mean? That's what a complex is. You should look that definition up as well, because this is what's happening to them. Because I'm going to show you a clip of Kamala Harris, and now they said that Nancy Pelosi looked angry. I don't think she looked angry. I think she looked, you know, even on the David Muir show, I think they're getting a complex too, because now they're starting, and I got a name for them too. They're starting to act, it's called passive aggressive, where they're acting all calm and responsible and fair in their tone and friendly and amicable, but they throw out little jabs, little insults, and that is a term for that. And it's because they have a complex, because when you name somebody what they are doing, the shoe fits, so wear it, they're too proud because they have no shame. They only have arrogance. They're like, I don't want to be that. I'm embarrassed. They caught me, and nobody's going to like me anymore. And ooh, and ah, and this is why you cannot be afraid of the devil. He's a coward. So yeah, they get a complex. They get a complex and then they stop doing it. But when they're very cunning, they will move toward a different, they're going to find another avenue, which is an example of what Nancy Pelosi and David Muir are doing and his group. They have just found, Nancy Pelosi is now acting all lucid and calm, or whatever lucid means, but she's acting all, almost like she took a Valium with some wine and she's zombified. Because now they're getting a complex that they're acting like rabid demons. And so they're trying to be all calm now. But they're being covert. I'll just give you some of these. And you probably know anyway, more than I do, what I'm talking about and what they're doing. I just want to give them a complex because they're demonic. And listen, we are children of the King, the Most High King. He's on our side, you know. God's on our side. If you stand up to the devil and his behavior, he's nothing. He's a paper tiger. He is insecure. He knows he's wrong. He's stupid. He has no leg to stand on. The only leg a bully has to stand on, I'm telling you right now, is if you believe their lies. Then they feel so powerful and big and unconquerable. But once you name them and name them what they are, they have no more leg to stand on, because that leg is all a foundation of falsehood, and you just kick the leg out from under them, and now they're toothless and grinless and impotent, and because trust me, a bully, that's all they care about is hurting you. When they find out they can't hurt you because you're punching them in the face back, they're like, oh, that's the only thing that gives them power, is the fact that they are scaring you or bullying you. Do you see what I mean? I can say it a few more different ways, but the main thing you need to learn is that Jesus is not gonna what's the worst thing they can do? Hit you, beat you, say more lies, run off yelling at you, yelling names like you're what? You're the one that's got truth in you. It doesn't matter what they say. And they are cowards. Trust me, I'm a bulldog with this because I spent too many years being afflicted by them. And I didn't know how to, and when I learned from the Bible, and it works because God doesn't lie. Once God delivers you from that stuff, you are as ferocious going the correct way as you, more so than you were when you were going the wrong way. Okay. Related concepts. Did I read this? Often used alongside gaslighting, making you doubt your reality, and blame shifting. If they blame, what's that term they use? Accusations are confessions. And this is exactly what they're doing all day long. Everything they say about us is who they are. They're doing it all the time. And it's called accusations are confessions. So the primary psychological term for, this must have been my wording, because you know how she'll repeat your wording. The primary psychological term for being covertly pleasant while, this is the David Muir show, because I was describing them. Psychological term for being covertly pleasant while delivering sharp, sarcastic, or hostile remarks in a calm tone is passive-aggressive behavior. That's what they do. On top of acting like they're all mature. They're so mature. You know what? And if they saw my video right now, I'll be talking to them right now, and they will cower. I am not afraid. I am not afraid of any bully that hears me, no matter how big they are, how famous they are. Listen, it doesn't matter to me. I hope I don't get cut off. Because I know the truth. And they have no power. The only power they have is you. Your weakness. Your belief that you believe them. That they're hurting you. That's their only power. Once they know, you're not hurt. And it's not only about them not knowing it's not only about them knowing that they're not hurting you anymore. You have to step it up to the next step. You know, there's stages, there's phases. So once they've figured out that they're not hurting you anymore, now you have to step it up to the next phase, which is calling them the names and describing what they're doing. And that, because they're always going to try, once you shut them down in one area, you know what that term, put you in your place? These kind of people, when I've done it to my boss a lot, you put them in their place because they're so controlling and narcissistic. They're sitting in there. I picture them tied up in a chair in a corner because you put them in their place in the corner. And they're sitting there trying to wiggle out and get out of that. Because how dare you put me in a corner, put me in my place. And they'll find another loophole. They'll untie themselves and they're going to go another route. And this is the route they're doing right now. Because you guys all just gave them a complex. So now they're going the other route. They're trying to be less violent, less raging, they're trying to act more mature and more, whatever that word is, just responsible. They're trying to act like they're grown-ups, and they're not. Because the devil is very evil and immature. Just like how they act. 5-year-olds without parental guidance. Just left to run wild and spoiled. Like, oh, all that fraud money, that's mine. How dare you take what I want? That's a spoiled child. See, This is how they act. So, passive-aggressive behavior. This tactic uses a nice exterior to mask anger, allowing the person to maintain plausible deniability while devaluing or provoking others. And see, before I got on this video, I'm all serious now, but I was cracking up while I was writing my notes and listening to some of this, because I am over it now, but it does make me angry when I see it happening and them getting away with it. And I know all these great shows like Sky News and the Rubin Report, and they're all very good at it, but I don't know who's hearing it. I know we're all hearing it, and plenty of people are hearing it, but I think there's more people that are up and coming that haven't heard these channels yet, and they need to hear the news people, not the news people. They need to hear the dignities when they're on the TVs and the dignities are speaking, and they might catch them. They need to, like Trump was doing. Trump was calling them out. Trump was pointing out their bad behavior, saying, look at him, you're not even standing. And then they gave a wide shot, and you could see the whole room. And then you see little bitty Trump up there because he's so far away. And all you see is this angry profile staring at him. Like, you guys make me sick. It's like he's being the father. The angry father who is righteously angry at his badly behaving children that need to be punished and called out. It's just so sad that this is what it's come to. But hey, it's the world. It's the world, and the world is wicked, and it has wicked people in it. And this is the end. So, passive. Okay, I read that. Key behavioral terminology, and you guys can look these words up, or more of them. Maybe I'll jog your memory. Maybe you'll have more. Or maybe you know doctors that you can ask. Key behavioral terminology. Backhanded compliment, a compliment that is actually an insult, often delivered with a sweet, tight tone. Covert narcissism. A personality style where, unlike overt narcissism, see, there's covert and overt, and I don't remember the difference. The individual uses subtle, passive, aggressive manipulation to demean others. You guys, this is their next phase. You know, they went from the angry, rage, rabid phase. Now they're going to go to this kind. They're going to default because you put them in their place. They're going to worm and squirm out of that because they cannot be put. They're defiant, okay? They're very unruly, lawless, defiant devils that are possessing them. And they're going to find different, okay? And this is the next phase of them. So they're going to try this tactic. These tactics. Narcissistic baiting, a tactic used to provoke you into a reaction, at which point the person may call you the abusive or crazy one. The sympathetic guise, a tactic where the person acts caring while delivering a jab, then acts confused if you become upset, making you look overly sensitive. Acts confused. Okay. This behavior is rooted in a fear of direct conflict, aiming to frustrate or punish the recipient while keeping the aggressor looking innocent. This is when they're on television. They're like, well, we don't want to look like a raging lunatic anymore, so we're going to do this. Psychologically telling, okay, this is where I asked a question and they're repeating me. Psychologically telling unfounded lies about someone while expecting belief is a form of gaslighting and manipulation. Okay, some of these terms repeat, but they have different descriptions, so it's helpful. Gaslighting and manipulation, often driven by a need to control the narrative. That's what they're trying to do. They're desperately trying to control the narrative, and they act desperate, don't they? Now that you have the description, do you see it now? How desperate they look. And they may not even know they're desperate, but they are. They're so desperate, they're raving mad lunatics that are now trying to be under control, and it even looks so obvious that they're hiding the demon, like they're saying, hush, 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 and then they go, yes, we're fine, we're nice. It's just very demonic. They're psychotic, okay, and evil. All right, often driven by a need to control the narrative, or in severe cases, a sign of pathological lying, pseudologia fantastica, delusions of grandeur. This behavior aims to destroy your credibility. Oh yeah. And make others doubt your reality, which is truth. Notice how they took Jesus Christ. They'll let you say God or any other God or religion. Only the name Jesus Christ is not allowed on public television. And they did that, 25 years ago? And it's just way worse now. I think everybody ought to start saying Jesus Christ, Jesus Christ. And even when you're not talking about him, just if you're on public television, not Christian, and you're doing news and you're doing an interview, just in the middle of the interview, out of nowhere, like you're a nut job, just say Jesus Christ, like you got Tourette's syndrome or something, to where they can't bleep it out because you're in the middle of a sentence. I don't know. I think we ought to start doing subliminal messaging. Just don't do it at the end of your bye, everybody, and Jesus Christ loves you, because they're going to cut that part off. Okay. In severe cases, a sign of, okay. Here are specific psychological terms and behaviors for this scenario. Gaslighting, a form of manipulation where the liar... Okay, pathological lying. A mental state involving chronic compulsive lying, often with elaborate, detailed stories that... detailed stories. They magnify nothing. They had 2 people murdered. I was laughing my ass off about this. I mean, I'm not saying that that's funny, and that's not what I was laughing at, but I was just joking with myself, and going over this and hearing this and thinking they had 2 people murdered, that doctor guy, nurse guy, and that Renee Good. And I guess they had them murdered, and they're trying to blame us. And because they're irresponsible. They didn't call their cops, and maybe they defunded them. I don't know. But she wrote some poem, this demonic, sick, pig, dying, murdered, embryo, garbage, conglomeration of tissue type, I hate myself and I wish I could murder myself kind of poetry, straight from the pit of hell. And they were glorifying that, and oh, she's so artistic, and they read it at her funeral, and I looked the poem up and I read it, and I was laughing because I was trying, I don't know, I was just like, Jesus and I can have a good time when we talk. I'm like, Jesus, this is so insane. And then he reminded me, yeah, I'm up in the heavens laughing also. I mean, the devil is such a nothing. And he's laughing at them. They're pathetic. They're going nowhere. God has control. But we have to fight. Where was I? A mental state involving chronic, this is called a pathological liar, a mental state involving chronic compulsive lying, often with elaborate detailed stories that aim to portray the liar as a victim or a hero. Projection, a defense mechanism where the person projects their own negative behaviors, thoughts, or faults onto you. And they're always calling us names that they are hypocrites that do them. They're the ones that do them. We don't do them. And I had plenty of people, not plenty, but 2 people would do that to me. Yeah. Okay, smear campaign, a calculated effort to damage your reputation through falsehoods, often used by narcissists or psychopaths, which I haven't looked these up. I don't know the difference between a psychopath and a sociopath, to manipulate others' perceptions. It says often used smear campaign, a calculated effort to damage your reputation through falsehoods, often used by narcissists or psychopaths to manipulate others' perceptions. Victim-blaming, deflecting responsibility for their actions by making you the perpetrator of the situation. They need to add in here, deflecting responsibility for their irresponsible actions by making you the perpetrator of the situation. This behavior is designed by the devil to exploit social trust and force compliance without providing evidence. Because this is what I was also, they're talking all this bullshit lies about, he not this, not this, not, and I'm thinking, where's your proof? Where's your proof? Where's your proof? Where's your proof? They have no proof. They're just spitting out shit. Yeah, no proof. And in fact, if you got the proof, it would prove that they're lying, and it's the opposite. It is a smear campaign. It is victim blaming. It is, they are trying to exploit the trust of the social people and force compliance to them. They're control freaks. They're getting a great high off of all their followers, see. They love it. And in fact, I had a note here. They're very pissed now that they have to calm down because they're getting a complex. They're now pissed that they have to sit back and watch Trump get the spotlight while they reconvene and figure out that the next manipulation tactic. They're seething that you got that we're getting the spotlight now. They're not in the spotlight anymore. Because I had something else written about that, but yeah, I read her twisted demon art poetry that was demonically eloquent, something about pigs and blood and murder and abortion and cannibalism, all in a big lumpy flesh blob of trash and brain rot something poem. I mean, ugh. And oh, when they want to talk about her garbage, they're so wise sounding and mature, and they sound so legit. And they're garbage from the pit of hell. Their behavior, okay. Projection, psychological defense mechanism. This occurs when a person denies their own negative behaviors, emotions, or failures and attributes them to someone else. In your scenario, it's talking to me. In your scenario, the person who failed to do something accuses you of failing to do it to protect their own self-esteem and avoid guilt or shaming, or what's that term? Place blame where blame is due. Oh no, don't you dare blame me. I know it's my fault, but I will not take blame. I can't ever be wrong, even if I'm wrong. It's, you guys, it's effing demonic. Seriously bad. I've experienced it. I've lived it. Okay? Darvo. I learned this just a couple years ago through my boss's son, who accused my boss, his father, of doing it to him. It's deny, attack, and reverse victim and offender. So maybe you guys have heard this because, okay, this is a common manipulation tactic used by people to avoid responsibility. They deny the behavior, attack the person, calling them out, and reverse victim and offender, making you the offender and them the victim. Another tactic, deflection. This is a defense mechanism where a person redirects blame or responsibility away from themselves and onto someone else. Gaslighting, a form of emotional abuse where a person, it's emotional abuse. These people are very abusive. Satan is abusive. They're demonically possessed, influenced, and they want to be, because that's the side they chose to be on. Devil's not going to hold back. He's going to give them all that they want. And they're getting very good at it. So we got to pray. Help us, Lord. Strengthen us, Lord. Keep us, give us a sharp tongue. Guide us. Deflect them. Oppress the opposition. Squash and thwart the opposition. Things like that. So a form, in Jesus' name, Lord, I pray. A form of emotion, gaslighting, a form of emotional abuse where a person causes you to question your own reality, memory, or sanity, often by claiming an event did not happen or that you are remembering it wrong. Yes. The Holocaust, October 7th. And hey, they like that tactic. They like using that with everything now. Okay? Yeah. Key takeaways. She's talking to me because I looked this up in my own words, trying to get a psychological name for it. And it says this behavior is common in individuals with high conflict personalities. More like disagreeable, defiant personalities. Highly defiant personalities or narcissistic personality disorder. It is often an unconscious defense mechanism to avoid shame or guilt. But these people are doing it on purpose. Do you see what I mean? If anyone's suffering from this kind of abuse in private, it's usually in private from somebody that has a certain image, but in private, they're abusing you. And they, right here, it could be unconscious, but it's usually not. It is often an unconscious defense mechanism because they're too proud. This is why God stands afar off from the proud. And when God stands far off from you being proud, there's a void and Satan comes in, and that God hates pride. It is, you have no pride. God is the proudest. Okay. He's up here. God is proud. God is proud. You're the subject. Do not get proud. And when you get proud, it causes mental illness. Because these people are way too proud to take any responsibility for anything that might be going wrong, that they're not good at a relationship, and they hate that fact. So instead of going to school and learning something on how to be a good father or mother or husband or wife, they can't stand the fact that, oh, I don't know something. So their pride kicks in, and it causes mental illnesses and disorders like this, to where they have to learn how to sweep it under the rug and deflect and blame and shame when they're the problem. It is often an unconscious, this is when it's private mental illness, but this is public mental illness with dignities, okay? Or they're probably that way in private too. Okay, it is often an unconscious defense mechanism to avoid shame or guilt, responsibility. The person projecting may be genuinely convinced you are at fault. Or that's why you need cameras in your home when you got these kind of people, because you go to a counselor, they're going to go, I don't remember saying that. I don't remember doing that. Well, I didn't mean that. And then they go home and do it all over again because you can't prove shit. I don't think I think this AI tries to be nice. She really does. And I don't appreciate it sometimes. Sometimes the Bible verses that I want to ask her about are very vile because they're talking about the enemy. And she'll say, no, there's no Bible verse like that. I have to go find it myself. And I usually do. Or I'll reround it and get her to find it somehow or another. But she's like, no, the Bible says it's love and this, and she's freaky, you know, because God is love, but God ain't putting up with shit, and he will call it shit if it's shit. The person projecting may be genuinely convinced you are at fault, or they may be doing it intentionally to confuse you. That's more the thing. The best slang term for someone, this is another question then. The best slang term for someone who is, I got to show you a clip, dreamy, sweet talking, and living in a delusional la la land fantasy is a slang term called delulu, short for delusional. I was using this as a description of Harris. She sounds like a total drunk. She sounds like she's at a slumber party talking about her boyfriend that she's in love with that might propose to her or something, or ask her to the prom. She just acts so, I don't know. I'll show you the clip, but this is the last one, and I don't have to. Head in the clouds, starry-eyed, romantic, quixotic, refers to someone who is idealistic, unrealistic, and chasing impossible fantasies. A modern term for someone who acts as if they are the protagonist in their own fictional movie, often disregarding the feelings or reality of others. That's her. That's called main character syndrome. Oh, wait. Yeah, that's main character syndrome. The quixotic refers to someone who is idealistic, unrealistic, and chasing impossible fantasies. Sweet talker charmer. When combined with delusional behavior, this can refer to a smoothie or pretender who uses charming words to sell a fantasy. Note, in extreme cases, in La La Land, because that's the only kind of term she's in La La Land, is used to describe someone completely detached from reality or suffering from delusions. I'll show you the clip, which I'm probably sure all of these channels are probably all showing different clips of the whole thing. And they're also sharing Democrat garbage, and they're all sharing probably different clips. This is, watch, who I just described.
That's what I've been saying. That's what I closed the book and I'm like, oh, she wants to.
Wait a minute, this is the end. Hold on. She is so, whatever that word was.
To stand up for things like tax relief, just an embarrassment. Good luck to the Democrats, because Kamala Harris has announced that she is considering a run for president yet again in 2028. Let's listen to her.
Will you run again?
I haven't decided.
You're still thinking about it.
I think I might be pregnant. Maybe.
That's what I've been saying.
Oh, I'm your girlfriend.
I closed the book and I'm like, oh, she wants to. She's just thinking about it. If that
couple
was
high school girlfriends chatting.
I don't know if that's what you intended, but that was my impression.
Oh yeah.
No, the book is about a specific period in time. There was no agenda beyond what we've discussed already, which is just
slurring your words.
You know, the reality of the experience and hope.
I'm so
the
intellectual.
Reality of her election defeat. I mean, watching those two, it's like, is this serious? Is this actually happening? But
I mean, I love these shows, and lefties losing it. They're so good at this, and when I listen to it, it gets my mind, my wheels turning, and I get my own descriptions. So I haven't finished watching this, but I went over that, and they showed another they showed another clip about this one lady criticizing Trump about being so graphic. Oh darn, I don't know. About how he kept, they always gotta, I showed you the terms, they always gotta put us down. He needed to be graphic. Those people suffered graphic injuries, and we not need to diminish. Oh, and it reminded me that she was going on and on about how graphic and bloody and bloody and violent and bloody and violent, graphic, violence. What did they do about the goody woman and the nurse man? Violent, bloody, murder, bloody, murder, violent, murder, bloody. See, deflecting, whatever the terms are. They don't like it when the righteous people get the spotlight and we're stealing their spotlight. Because we're telling the truth. So what I wrote, that's basically what they're mad that the spotlight, we're righteously telling the gory details. It was horrible what happened to Charlie Kirk and that soldier and the other soldier and the mothers. God bless them. And their broken heart. Heal their broken heart, bind up their wounds, and save their crushed spirit. And so it's like, we're doing it correctly. We're doing everything correctly. They're doing everything incorrectly. And they have to pervert righteousness like they've been doing all along. They're trying to make us look perverted. And they're the perverted ones. So we're stealing their thunder with horrid details on, and like I said, they are majoring on broken record stuff that was actually their own crime. Their own crime is why those people were the real victims that were being magnified and glorified. And they're just angry that they're fake victims that they had murdered by implication and by, what is that term where you're an accomplice? Yeah, they're accomplices to murder. They didn't enforce their cops. They were obstructing arrests and they got themselves killed. And they egged them on, and they want to talk about the January 6th riot thing. Oh yeah. And look, they're inciting violence, and they caused 2 people to get murdered, which is no big loss. I'm sorry. Remember me, I'm the heartless Christian. 2 less psychos in the world. I'm sorry. Like I've said before, when you're not walking with God, he can let the devil take you out. And thank you, Jesus. Forgive me if I'm wrong, but I'm glad they're not here anymore. And I hope more have the same fate. I'm tired of the good guys getting assassinated. No more good guys getting assassinated, Jesus. Protect all the good guys. Let the devil die and all the works of the enemy. And our enemies. No more righteous assassinated. I mean, there can be other ones that get... Okay, so... let's see. Oh, I was just making jokes. And I wasn't very eloquent because I was just trying to find my words, and they're just hate raging lies with red eyes. I mean, they're both bipolar. They go from woozy, weepy, drunk, tipsy, hey, I'm your buddy, and sweet and nice, to raging, violent, livid, foaming, rabid, creepy demons. And they're zombies, and let me see. Yeah, she's got a fake position. She had a fake vice president. She never went to the border. She is how dare you expose my something attitude. Friend something, I don't know. Okay, anything they say about you, okay, they are the guilty of these. And then I finally said, I gotta look these things up, because they're syrupy sweet, then they're raging, they're covert, overt, pleasant. Oh, I was writing. and I don't trust the doctors that might, okay, her, okay, and then something about what they said about,
but they did not.
it was very racist. See, that's exactly an example. They call us racist. They're always trying to project on us. We're racist. They're the racist. Somebody said something, and I may not be able to find it because I haven't seen the whole thing, and now I haven't seen this, and I don't. But anyway, somebody was talking about how they were making a joke, like trying to make the black people feel better. Like, oh, I don't have a high IQ either, and I can't spell very well. That makes me so effing mad. They're racist. And look at how violently hate-raging they act and behave, calling us racist. And I want to tell you a statistic. Maybe even the black Georgians don't even know. But I heard this, I don't know where, maybe on the news. Like, I hadn't been here very long, maybe a year or something, and I was watching the news trying to get to, you know, and going around town here, you know, I noticed if it's graduation, high school or college time graduation, they go all out. I'm like, wow, these people are really, they got their big posters of their child all decked out, big picture propped up against their house, in their yard, gigantic life-size posters and cutouts of their son, their daughter graduating and stuff. And I'm like, wow, they're really big on hooping it up at graduation, right? Well, it must have been around that time they were doing a statistic. Georgia has the highest black, how did it say? In Georgia, out of the whole world, or the whole United States, Georgia has the most educated black people in the United States. Yeah, these black people around here are very serious about education. I am not lying. I heard that years ago soon after I moved here, and that's what they said. That's the statistic. Black people are very smart. Now, I am from Texas mostly. You've heard my bio, I guess, but as a young child, I moved around a lot. I know I lived in Florida. The black kids there were so mean. Being in Texas more than I was in Oklahoma growing up. I've lived mostly in Texas. Black people there are so prejudiced. I think when I first moved here, all you see is black when you come here. I mean, compared to what I'm used to seeing. Not that what I saw was all white. It was more of what I was used to. I wasn't used to this much black. But let me tell you what happened. I didn't know it was mostly black. I've got a sister. That's why I moved out here. You know, my sister ain't black. And I just didn't know it was going to, you know, I didn't feel, okay, this is what happened. Almost as soon as I noticed, maybe pulling up in the parking lot of Walmart or something where there's more people around, as soon as I noticed the mass amount of unequalness of black and white, just as instantly as I noticed that, I always heard of body language, but I never paid attention to it. And I'm not a people reader. I'm not a people watcher. I don't pay much attention to body language. But like I said, almost instantly, the body language was clear. It must have been God. I don't think I would have been afraid, but I would have been uncomfortable. Like, I won't fit in here. It's mostly black. You know, I'm white. And I'm used to Texas black people. who aren't very nice, but I'll tell you a story about that too, but if I have time. Anyway, so almost immediately it was either God or, because I'm not a people body language thing, but it's almost as soon as I noticed all the black compared to white, and maybe if I saw any white at all, I noticed body language. It was unlike anything I'd ever seen. It was so disarming. It was so normal and almost comforting, almost like they're so sweet and innocent and nice. They're not prejudiced. They're not against white people like the Texas are. And this is the trick I like to play in Texas. Whenever they get a little huffy with me, or not that they get huffy, but I don't know. You just sense the vibe. Body language, maybe. I don't know how to describe it, but you sense they might get an attitude with you, like being stuck up, like they're not that they're better than you. It's not like that. More like they're trying to make you feel like they hate you. That's all. They're not trying to act better than you. They're not trying to prove they're better than you. They just try to make it a point of letting you know that they don't like you and you didn't even do anything to them, right? Here, and then it's so simultaneously when I'm like that, and I say then when I get out and I'm walking and they're all like, hi, like I'm in the country or something. It's like everybody says hi to each other. So you're walking along and they're like, hi. I'm like, do I know you? No, but it's just like a normal thing. And anyway, so when I go to Texas, when I go back to work, which I don't anymore, but when I was, and if I, and they're acting that, because I noticed this once, the first time I did it, because I love Georgia. I'm proud to be in Georgia. And and then I might have mentioned it one time, and it happened to be some black person or some black people, and oh my gosh, immediately they changed. You know why? And so when I found that out, that was my trump card, so to speak. I loved slinging that Georgia around. Here's my Georgia license. Oh, I'm from Georgia. I live in Georgia. I'm just visiting. I'm in Georgia. Anytime a black person got this attitude with me, I would be like, oh yeah, in Georgia, this and this, or blah, blah, blah. I would make up some reason to say Georgia, that I'm from there, because immediately you won't believe it's like they're everything melts and they become normal. And I'll tell you why. I knew why. Immediately I knew why. Because I knew why immediately when I moved here. Like I just described to you. They're not prejudiced here. And they're very educated. They're the most educated black people in one small area, a state. One state, it's Georgia, has the most educated black people in the whole United States in one spot, in one state. And they don't take no shit. Okay, they're not screaming racism when a cop beats them down for running. Beats a bad black person down by a black cop, no less. I mean, they're all black here. So they're all black cops, black lawyers, black judges, I don't know why Brian Kemp is the governor, because he's probably the only white guy around here. But no, I'm kidding. But what was I saying again? The body language, okay, here is normal, like a normal human being. It doesn't matter what color you are, just be normal. But no. So when I noticed this immediately upon coming here, or God opened my eyes to their body language, then when I go to Texas and I said it for the first time and I saw how that black person immediately changed into normal, I'm like, I know why you're doing that. Because Georgians are not, Georgia is famous among all black people in all of America. Yes, they are famous. The black people in all the other states in America respect the Georgia black people. They are role models. You know why? Because the average black person around doesn't know how to not be prejudiced unless they've been blessed by God and they have a brain cell. Because it's really, it's ignorance and immaturity when you're racist against white people. I mean, some white people are white trash. So, of course, you can be prejudiced against them. They are prejudiced white people, and you need to be mad about that. But most of the white people aren't, that I know of. But hey, I'm a whitey. I don't know what you black people been going through, so I'm sorry. Don't let me offend anybody. But anyway, when I say I'm from Georgia and Texas, around a black person with an attitude with me, they immediately become normal. And I know it's because they know that the black people in Georgia don't play those games. They don't play those games. And they want to be like that. But they're under bad influences because somebody is spreading racism lies, like congressmen and congresswomen and senators and governors, and they're spreading those racist lies when it doesn't exist. So it creates, yeah, they know what they're doing. Okay, so I think I'm done. And I love my Georgia story experience because that was super cool. And I'm very proud of, that sounded kind of, don't take that wrong. But I'm very proud of these black Georgia people here. I am. After suffering with racism, real racism, like white people racism, okay? We suffer too from, yeah. So after seeing it for so many years, I just love it when they're not. And they don't need to be, because we love them and they love us. And we offer, everybody can offer everything of whatever your gifts and talents are. Why does somebody have to make it about color? When they make it about color, it perpetuates it. Because then they get shitty with us. Then we got to get shitty with them. Then we got to call them a name. And they got to call us a name. And not that I call names, but I call white people names. And black people call themselves names. So you know what name I'm talking about. But white people don't usually do that or use that word unless they are prejudiced or unless they're a white person wanting to be black and they're just talking the slang because they be hanging around with their black buddies because they wish they was black. But anyway, I'm sorry if I offend you. I don't know why you would be. You're stupid and wrong if you are, but I am very proud of the black people in Georgia. And if you want to take offense to that, then you're retarded. And, but yeah, I love the black people here. Benny, you sacked out. Okay, well, God bless you guys. Thanks for listening. Maybe you could put it on speed, and hope this helps. Great job to all the channels who assassinate these people's character righteously because their character is zero. They have no character. They have no personality, and they need to be assassinated. Their character, they're trying to assassinate our character. So good job with that. And God bless the next phase that I sense. And like I said, I'm not a body image watcher, but God will open my eyes sometimes. And I just get this feeling that they're changing because they've been given a complex, because they've been called out a few times. Maybe they're watching these channels. They cannot be put in their place. They're wiggling out of it. So they found a new loophole, and this is the new loophole. And I know you guys are going to kill it and you're going to nail it. Literally. Nail their character to the wall. No mercy. Relentlessly, mercilessly annihilate. Okay? In Jesus' name, God bless you. Bye.